Picture someone carefully applying blush to cold cheeks. They smooth out a miniature lace dress, pin up a brightly colored wig, and gently place a brass music box inside a chest cavity. It looks like an act of tender, innocent craftsmanship. However, this quiet scene took place inside a cramped apartment in the Russian city Nizhny Novgorod. In 2011, authorities arrested a respected historian named Anatoly Moskvin. He had spent years illegally exhuming the remains of nearly 30 young girls. Moskvin brought the bodies back to the home he shared with his parents. He mummified the remains, dressed them in scavenged clothing, and treated these life-sized figures as companions in a fabricated domestic life. In his own journals, Moskvin described these girls as his children, claiming he was waiting for a breakthrough in science to bring them back. He had constructed a world where death simply didn't apply, replacing the finality of the grave with a room full of dolls. Modern digital platforms act as magnets for this horror. Algorithms cluster vastly different artifacts, from true crime to 90s nostalgia, under the tag The Dollmaker. These videos are linked by a singular dark thread, the moment a person's grip on reality loosens to all-consuming obsession. A 2017 short film, simply titled The Dollmaker, provides a clinical breakdown of this descent. It moves past the scary doll trope to focus on the actual mechanics of a grieving mind under pressure. It suggests that insanity is not a sudden break. It is a slow, quiet pursuit of comfort in the wake of trauma. The film introduces us to Jenna and Rick Dayton. They are parents utterly paralyzed by the death of their 4-year-old son, Tim. Out of options, Jenna visits an enigmatic artisan. For a hefty price, he offers them a magical surrogate doll, infused with their dead child's spirit. The arrangement is governed by strict, unforgiving parameters. First, the magical illusion only functions within the physical walls of the family home, where the child's memories are strongest. Second, the parents must never interact with the doll for more than 1 single hour per day. Overexposure will lead to severe psychological damage, blurring the line between the doll and the deceased child. To enforce this limit, the Dollmaker provides them with a specific sand hourglass. 1 turn of the glass equals 1 hour of Tim's life. This Faustian bargain sets a psychological trap. It offers the parents a way to cheat death, but it demands an impossible level of emotional restraint from people who are already at their breaking point. Grief eventually destroys Jenna's discipline. We watch her discipline erode as she becomes increasingly dependent on the brief window of time she gets with the surrogate. The turning point arrives when Jenna deliberately ignores the hourglass. She lets the sand run out, permanently abandoning her connection to the real world. From Jenna's perspective, the child is back. She sits at the kitchen table, tenderly feeding a meal to her living, breathing son. But Rick and the audience see the objective truth: a woman mindlessly pushing mushy oatmeal against the stitched, lifeless mouth of a crude rag doll. In this state, madness becomes an inescapable echo chamber. The desire to restore what was lost completely shatters the mind's ability to recognize the world as it actually is. Jenna's fictional break mirrors a wider internet fascination with the Dollmaker archetype. It appears on reading platforms like Wattpad, where stories fixate on possessive toymakers who treat their human subjects as controllable objects. It surfaces in deep web gaming lore, like Welcome to the Game 2, which features a villain who mechanically transforms living victims into silent, unmoving figures. Regardless of the medium, the obsession remains the same. The Dollmaker bridges the gap between the living and the inanimate, usually at the cost of the user's grasp on the real world. Returning to the short film, Rick stands as the final anchor to reality in the Dayton household. He reaches a point where he can no longer passively watch his wife's mind unravel. He physically snatches the doll away. He tries to force the truth back into Jenna's world by violently violating her carefully constructed delusion. This intervention triggers reality-bending consequences. Forcing a shattered mind to confront the truth doesn't heal the fracture, it breaks the world entirely. Violating the psychological contract seals their tragic fate, proving the horror adage that sometimes dead is better. The transition from grief to psychosis happens in the pursuit of comfort. Jenna didn't set out to lose her mind. She just wanted to sit in a room where her son was still breathing. The Dollmaker archetype persists across our feeds and stories because it isolates a specific human fear that our own empathy can be weaponized against us when we are at our weakest. It leaves us with a final question. If a delusion were the only thing shielding you from unimaginable pain, would you truly have the strength to stay sane?